Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic: how Black America became soul food junkies. How Black America became soul food junkies. Now, this video might be boring to a few people, but if you listen closely, you're going to understand the type of food that we eat gives us high blood pressure, diabetes, all kinds of heart problems, but we continue to eat it. Most of the food that we eat is fatty. Now, my belief on why we have become addicted to soul food is because during the slavery days, this is where the house Negro and the field Negro come into play. See, the house Negro had the better food because the house Negro ate everything that his master ate, whereas the field Negro had the scraps. So the field Negro had to be a little more innovative with his food. So basically, the field Negro ate the fatty foods. This is where you get chitlins, hog maws, pig's feet, scrapple, and other types of food that we call soul food. But does that answer the question? No, that still doesn't answer the question. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered how we as a people invented and became addicted to soul food? Well, I watched a documentary called Soul Food Junkies. This came about maybe 5 years ago. And that movie explores and answers this question head on. Now, again, the documentary Soul Food Junkies came out in 2013, so some of you may have seen it. But if you haven't, I would like to share my thoughts on a movie with you. Soul Food Junkies is about the producer Byron Hurt's quest to discover whether or not soul food is the reason why so many African Americans die from heart-related issues. The film was inspired by Hurt's father, Jackie Hurt, who lost his battle with pancreatic cancer back in 2007 due to bad eating habits. Now, when Hurt's father first became sick, he started to examine his relationship to the food he ate. Now, after discovering that it was the food that he loved and ate so much, and I'm talking about some of the other soul foods such as greasy fried chicken, pork ribs, macaroni and cheese, rice and gravy, sweets loaded with sugar, he wondered if soul food in and of itself was the reason for his father's death. Now, since soul food has always been the food of Black America, Byron wanted to know the history of how and why we as a people came up with soul food. Now, throughout the film, Hurt explores all these questions above and more by speaking with health professionals, family members, cooks, scholars, and everyday people off the street. Through these explorations, we find out that soul food came about as survival food in the South during slavery. Now, the meals that we ate during slavery were inspired by a need to make do with whatever slaves could access, which included greens they grew themselves, leftover meat parts, just as I mentioned, like pig's feet, as well as cheap foods like rice and yams, loaded with calories to give the slave fuel to work in the field all day. Now, although the diet of the slaves was much different from what they ate in Africa, they made do with what they had and learn how to make good tasting food out of everything. Again, they made do with what they had. And then they learn how to make good tasting food out of almost everything. And the food was so good that the slaves became ideal cooks for white folks. Now, as the film continues on, it speeds up over 50 years after slavery into the civil rights era and provides reasons for how the food we had no choice but to eat during slavery was generationally passed down and stuck with us after slavery. Now, one of those reasons were because we were emotional eaters and associated soul food with love and family. Byron showcases this by revealing how black-owned soul food restaurants such as Peaches in Jackson, Mississippi, and Sylvia's in Harlem played a great role during the civil rights era in giving black leaders and activists a place to go so they could eat a home-cooked meal since they were not allowed to eat anywhere else. Now, for the same reasons, Byron's mother discussed that she would often pack box lunches full of soul food for the entire family to eat on their annual drives from their home in Long Island to Georgia because of Jim Crow laws that forbade black people to find hotels and restaurants that would serve them during long road trips. Whether it was from mama's house or a restaurant, those home-cooked meals made black folks feel loved by our people at a time when we needed the most. Therefore, soul food naturally became associated with showing each other love in the black community, which still sticks with us today. Now, this is why we have so many cookouts, family reunions, and get-togethers today, because we view soul food as a symbol of love. Now, on this subject of soul food being emotionally connected to love and family, Byron revealed that when he grew older and he gave up eating pork, red meat, and other parts of the traditional soul food meals, after adhering to the diet of the Nation of Islam teachings, his father took it personal. Now, as Byron put it, maybe he felt like he was being rejected. He was rejecting black culture. He was rejecting the food that he loved. Now, for me, I can relate to his experience because years ago, I didn't eat much pork. I mean, I still eat a little bit of it. I eat some seafood, some catfish. But when it comes to the greasy foods, I don't eat them every day because I know that African Americans have a high diabetes rate. We suffer a lot from high blood pressure and heart disease, and a number of us aren't active. We eat a lot of grease today. And if you look at every hood in every city, what do you see? You see a lot of fast food restaurants. You see Kentucky Fried Chicken. You see Church's. You see Popeyes. You even see some greasy Asian places. But when it comes to black people and soul food, what makes soul food very special is we know how to cook it. We cook it very well. Now, it's funny, a number of people ate lard in the past, but they lived a long time. Why doesn't it happen today? It doesn't happen today because many of the foods that we eat are GMOs. They're genetically engineered. They're filled with preservatives and other chemicals that what they do, they blow you up. They make you fat. You see, when you are working out in the field, you have to have food because you burn up a lot of calories. When I was in the military, we ate MREs, meals ready to eat. They were in vacuum packs. They had 3,000 to 4,000 calories because we were doing physical work from sunup to sundown. Well, let me tell you this, when it comes to soul food, no matter how bad the food is for us, the fact is that we view food as part of who we are, and we continue to eat it no matter what the results are. Now, however, in this film, Byron showcases that while the majority of us have always chosen to eat soul food, there has always been conscious groups amongst us who have chosen to eat healthy. He showcases how the Nation of Islam promoted healthy to black America during the 60s and how Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live was read and adhered by many Christians as well during that time period. Now, Dick Gregory also appears in the film, he became a vegan in the 60s after going on a fast, and he wrote a book, Dick Gregory's Nature Diet for Folks Who Eat, which that had a great influence on black folks' health during that time period. The Black Panther movement of the 1970s are also mentioned in this film for establishing school breakfast programs for the black community and for understanding that developing a healthy diet was a necessity to developing a black nation. But no matter which movement or healthy alternative was made available to us over the years, the majority of black America has always chosen to eat soul food over healthy food. Now, as a result, the majority of us end up unhealthy and disease-stricken as we get older, and this is now happening to our youth as well. Now, this causes the question to raise: is eating soul food regularly connected to rampant rates of diabetes, obesity, and hypertension, and so many other diseases in black America? Now, in the film, Byron says no, and instead of the lack of health food available in the hoods and lower income communities as a possible reason for how we end up with sickness that plagues the black community, during this segment, scholars and activists discussed that many black people live in food deserts and are forced to buy either fast food, processed foods for their meals. Now, this causes the sickness and diseases that I just mentioned, like the diabetes, the hypertension, and this is the answer to one aspect, and I call it 21st century genocide. That's right, 21st century genocide. This is why you see all of the greasy foods in the black community. Now, I'm not a black historian, but I do agree with Byron 100% over the fact that fast foods and processed foods available in the black communities are purposely there to cause early deaths in the black community. But as a believer, I believe that the root cause of the sickness and diseases that continue to take the lives of our people daily, it's basically been on our constant disobedience to the Most High. By disobedience, I mean our diet, what we choose to eat. You see, the Most High gave us a diet in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1 to 47, and Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 9 to 10, as to what He desires for us to eat and what we are forbidden to eat. But for most of our people, we have constantly chosen to eat what He forbids us to eat, such as pork, shrimp, catfish, lobster, greasy foods. I just mentioned GMOs. And as a result of these choices, many of us are either sick or unhealthy, and we're basically on a path to death. But regardless of this point, Byron's film still brings out some of the much needed information in regards to how we as a people became soul food junkies and how imperative it is that we take our health more seriously. So if you haven't seen this documentary, I encourage you to check it out. It is educational, entertaining, and should be a blessing to both you and your family. And again, as an African American, it's very important for us to keep tabs on our health, because it's funny, when I go into different neighborhoods, people who I see doing the exercise are white folk. I don't see us doing any exercises. Many of us are constantly eating greasy food all day. When I work in places like Gary, Indiana, or South Bend, Indiana, or even down in Indianapolis, if you go in the hood or if you go in the black areas, again, we see nothing but fast food. It's all greasy. We see greasy Chinese food. But is that the fault of the African Americans in the hood? Yes and no. This all goes back to teaching. A number of us weren't taught about dieting, especially today. Many of us enjoy the food we eat. Now, my belief is if you eat in portions, doesn't matter what you eat. But many of us don't eat in portions. And I realize that foods like mashed potatoes, corn, cabbage, they're all good. They're all flavored. I know when I go to Ponderosa or Golden Corral, I can't help but to dig in a big plate of mashed potatoes. But I don't do it all the time. I make cheesecakes, sweet potato pies. They taste good. But what I do, I exercise. But one thing that wasn't mentioned is stress. A lot of us suffer from stress every day. Believe it or not, stress is a big killer of African Americans. So besides exercising, we definitely need a lot of counseling on stress issues. A number of us don't understand stress. It affects all of us. And I'm going to tell you something else that affects all of us. And I did past videos on this. You can check them out from my last year's health series back in March and April of 2017. The lack of sleep. You should be getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep a day. Many of us aren't getting that. We're staying up way too late watching BS on television. And we're consuming too much junk. Now again, a real diet is when you portion out everything you eat. Because too much of anything can kill you. Because if you look at a lot of these fat-free foods today, they put a lot of preservatives in them to make them taste good because the fat-free foods didn't taste good. Something else that's bad for you is diet sodas. Now here in the Midwest, they call it pop, I call it soda. I don't drink a lot of soda, especially sodas with the red dye in them. But at the end of the day, when it comes to proper eating, you must eat a balanced meal. Certainly at all these restaurants, they sell vegetables, they sell macaroni and cheese, they sell fried chicken, dirty rice, but they put a lot of other ingredients in those foods to raise the calorie count. Many of us should be taking in right around 2,000 calories daily. Now it's different for everybody. For me, it's 2,200 calories. But at the end of the day, we should take time, not just exercise our body, but exercise our mind. Because exercise is important, but you can also fail with exercise as well. And also, let's talk about obesity. Some of it is hereditary. And in fact, there are people who weigh 200, 300, 400 pounds. If they have the correct body shape, they'll live a while. It's when you don't have that body shape. And when it comes to women, I believe if you have that pear shape, you'll be okay. It's when you don't have a shape. And same with men. Now, what they're doing today, they're utilizing BMI to determine your body fat. But what I'm saying, when it comes to soul food, we've been eating it for so long, we really don't care what it does. Now, I want to tell you this so there won't be any misconceptions. Diseases are also hereditary. So you can do everything correctly and still have a heart attack. You can treat your body poorly and still live to 100 years old. What I'm simply making out to be a point in this video is the fact that we're addicted to soul food because that's all the field slaves had to eat. And remember they may have only gotten one meal a day. See, the house Negro had all the good food, but they didn't have to work as hard because they ate what the master ate. It's the field Negro who had to bear all the elements. But when it comes to any type of dieting, too much of anything can kill you. But what I am saying is, if you have a balanced diet, along with exercising your mind, as well as getting your proper rest, and understanding your family history of what kind of diseases occur in your family, you should be okay. But let me tell you this too, and this is for you young folks out there. If you don't take care of your bodies while you're young, it will catch up to you when you get a little older. And if you don't believe me, look at some of these older folks running around with walkers. They have bad posture. They're in and out of the hospital because they didn't believe anything that was said to them. You know what they say about a hard head? It makes a soft behind. So if you want to keep your health straight, be active, understand your family history of diseases, and lower your stress level. And if you comply to all three, along with a balanced diet, and a balanced diet to me means portion control. If you utilize it that way, you don't have to worry about any type of diseases. But remember, everybody's body is different. But at the end of the day, we all need to take care of our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls if we're going to enjoy a simple life. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. You can tune in to the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Blog Talk Radio. The guest calling number is 215-383-5785. After I conclude this video, I'm going to get right into my Blog Talk Radio show tonight, and I'm going to talk about how Black America hates God. It's going to be controversial to some of you, but again, I'm not here to worry about your feelings. I'm here to tell you the truth from the Most High's perspective, because a number of us basically have been indoctrinated by this Roman Catholicism or white Christianity. So I'm just going to tell you, listen to my Blog Talk Radio show, because my videos are going to give you information from a biblical perspective. Again, what I want everybody to do is like, share, and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show here on YouTube so I can continue to educate you. And I'm giving you information from a professional, mature perspective. This is why I don't do debates, controversial issues, or any emotional issues. Now, some of the issues may be slightly sensitive. That just depends on how you take the information that I'm delivering. I don't curse in my videos. I don't have to get my point across. All I want you all to do is just support my channel, and I give you free information. I don't ask for any donations, but information needs to be stated because a lot of us need to be educated, and this is what I do on my channel. I teach. This is a therapeutic and a self-awareness channel. Also, I don't embellish myself for any reason in drama or unwarranted bickering. It's counterproductive. Again, I'm here to give you information on how the real world works. That's it. So I'm going to be truthful, but 100% positive. Because if you have knowledge, you have power. If you have a topic or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to talk about, or even a business that I can shout out on Blog Talk Radio, YouTube, simply email me at lej6521@gmail.com. Again, that's lej6521@gmail.com. Of course, if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video, but make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifoging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed evening. God bless you, and good night.